How's it been?
Yes, thanks, Rose. So is that how I call you, Rose?
Yeah.
Is that Ross or Rose?
Bruce.
Or is Helic?
You can call me by anything you want, man. I'm totally fine with it. I mean, over the years,
Okay.
people have
Alright.
called me like various names. I mean, you get the same thing as well, you know. But for today,
Okay.
you're full Skullbanger, so we will
Yeah.
So for those who are unaware, the first time I knew about Bo Skullbanger and his involvement in local music was when I listened to Urban Karma on the radio for the first time. And
And what song was that?
it was Rock Never Dies.
Oh, Rock Never Dies. Rock Never Dies, yeah.
It was so catchy and it felt like a typical, yes, it sounded like a rock song, yes, but there were some influences that were borrowed from like other bands as well. And
You won't mind if I share a little story on that?
yes, of course. Yeah.
Okay, I don't think many people would actually know why at that point of time Urban Karma, who has until that point written songs that are actually quite serious and quite like social critique, social satire on certain things and all that. And suddenly they decided to drop back in 2004. We decided to drop a song called Rock Never Dies, which is like uh, probably the most Spinal Tap, the most Beavis and Butthead song Urban Karma could come up with. But there's actually a reason for that. See, a lot of the mud rockers would say rock never die, rock never die. So we kind of like hijacked it and make it rock never dies, or putting the proper English grammar to it. So rock never dies instead of rock never die. So and up till that point, I don't think the music of that of Urban Karma was that I should say, because this was by far the most technical Urban Karma song up to that point. So we decided to do that, just like, taking a piece and taking a kind of like, hey, we've hijacked your thing now. We've hijacked the Mud Rockers thing now, and it's not a Scorpions or straightforward rock kind of song. It's actually a borderline kind of like, well, at that point of time, it was borderline metalcore. So we kind of like, I kind of like feel good that I kind of like hijack something and turn it totally my own. See, so that was the whole point of that exercise last time. So that's a story I think not many people know.
That's an interesting facet, and I think that kind of changes my perception of listening to that song as well. Because when I first listened to that song for the first time, the reason why it got
because it has nothing to do with rock. It has nothing to do with rock as what the Malays know it. It has nothing to do with that. It has chuggy riffs. It has semi-growl vocals, and it's not about all things typical about what Malays like about rock at that point in time. So yes, although I don't see that as one of my best creations, but yeah, that beat is quite cheeky, I would say.
But I gotta say, it was definitely one of those. It was definitely a song that made an impact in my teenage years, because up until that point of time, I did not have any local influences just as yet. And
Okay.
through that song that I chanced upon on the radio, as well as coming across Inoki, the record shop in FIs, that was my first taste of what Singapore had to offer, and I think that led me to that rabbit hole of curiosity where I want to find out more things local. But back to my point about like talking about the mud rockers and everything. So you grew up in Singapore, and during your formative years as a teenager,
Mm-hmm.
interested in that kind of genre of music. I believe that also brought about labels and stereotypes and such. So as a teenager, like teenage Bob Skullbanger, what were the things that you had to deal with or listen to as a teenager or even as an
Well,
adult?
well, well. The funny thing is, I didn't come from a family that listened uh, to rock music, let alone hard rock or heavy metal. My late children years was spent actually. I mean, when I was like 9 all the way up to 12, the closest thing to rock for me was Eye of the Tiger. And the rest were like your usual Michael Jackson, Duran Duran, Aha, Tears for Fears. It only changed when I started to get into secondary school because that was what I call the rock kapak, the Malay rock, Malay heavy metal explosion of the mid 80s years. So the stigma that I faced during my first few months in secondary school were not about being outcasted as a rocker. Rock music was the norm back then among the Malay teenagers and all that. And I guess that you don't find it so much. We can't exactly uh, transplant what happened, for example, in America, where maybe the parents of the teenagers were into thrash metal or death metal or what that. Kind of like you know were wary about what music the children were listening. I sincerely don't think that Malay parents were uh, that alarmed by hard rock or heavy metal and all that. It's just from I guess they were more open-minded. Okay, for my case, I did face some parental objections and all that. But that's more because they didn't want me, whatever I like, to affect my studies. Not because that I was listening to the devil's music or probably listening to songs that glorify death and destruction. I don't think it's because of that. I think they were more of wary about if I become too obsessed by the music, by being involved in a band, I would kind of like not do well for my studies. Which, if I look if I can share my a bit of my life story. I actually did flunk my first year polytechnic, and I quit polytechnic after like half year, like after 6 months, back in 1991. I go back to a normal kind of school, like A level centralized institute. Now the school is no more with wearing uniform bag. So so I guess the objection wasn't about the lyrical content, the imagery. Of course, for some parents, it would be a bit convenient back then to kind of like discourage you from listening to that kind of music by saying that, hey, it's negative, it's like it is espousing death and destruction, it's espousing drugs, it's espousing the occult and everything. But that kind of like not the real reason, at least for me, because I don't feel that kind of stigma or discrimination from the society at large, because I guess finally I think probably if you get a kid nowadays, it's like 15, 16 years old, and this kid suddenly like old thrash metal, old death metal with the imagery all included. Probably that kid would face a bit more of a social stereotyping and feel the stigma compared to.
Oh man, I can totally understand. And I mean, while growing up as well, I did not grow up in a rock-oriented family. Actually, in fact, my mom was a police officer, and so were everyone else in my family.
Okay.
Everyone was pretty either conservative or very serious, and they always had
Mm.
this mentality that you go to school, get really good grades, then you go to the police force, that kind of thing. So
Mm.
my first taste of rock music came at the age of 9, where my stepbrother, who is not a rocker or a metalhead, he decided to buy a cassette of Scorpions. Uh,
Okay.
that contained the song Wind of Change, and he started to play it because he liked the song. So in this very bedroom that I'm in, this was the very place where I first listened to my first rock track, and that was Scorpions. And that left a lasting impression on me because it sounded different from what I heard on the radio, back then when you had your boy bands or your commercial fare. And what what led me to
If you can remember what year was when you were 9 years old. I'm
how
not
old
trying
was
to calculate your age.
I? Okay, sure. When I was 9, I would have been. What year was it? I think it was 90. Wait, 97. It might be 97.
Ah, okay. I see.
So you're talking about late 90s and stuff. And I think this also came to. I think this was also like the era in which rock music was having a bit of a downturn because it was the rise of grunge. So you didn't hear that many rock bands producing albums, or it was basically like the dark ages, I would call it, because everyone was just being experimental, or bands were having. I think they were in decline because bands like Nirvana, Soundgarden, and Pearl Jam were the popular ones that people would listen on the radio. And I think Guns N'
Yeah,
Roses were the one that came.
because at that point, Guns N' Roses was in total limbo after Slash decided to do his own projects. And much of, you're right to point out that that was the age of grunge, but I would say that grunge, um, well, 97, grunge was also on the decline, following Kurt Cobain's shocking death in 1994. I think there was no more market leader to push the genre forward. But from a from a person who grows up with radio and now working in radio, I would say that actually it was not that bad a time because you could still hear distortion guitar music. Be it it's not hard rock, be it it's not the big hair bands of the 80s, but you can still hear bands like, okay, if you take into account from 92 all the way to say in about the time whereby you have the Limp Bizkit song, uh, Take a Look Around, as a radio hit that would be 20 years ago in the year 2000. Okay, that good 8 years did see a good amount of guitar-oriented music being played on radio, including local radio. I still remember there were actually two rock-oriented programs. Ennio in 1994 or 19 or late 93 actually actually played Sepultura's Territory, believe it or not, on 987. And uh, Lance Alexander, who is now the CNA morning show host, okay, he had this rock program called the A-List. A being maybe after his name Alexander, or A being alternative. And from that program in 1994, I discovered a CD called Nativity in Black, tribute to Black Sabbath, because he was playing a White Zombie cover of Black Sabbath song called Children of the Grave. Now, if you look at that time and you compare it with what's on radio now, I think that was a better time compared to, and I don't mean it as a critic, it's just a matter of taste. As a person who is a fan of guitar and distortion guitar music. There was a lot more, and I think that tradition still carried on, even though by the time it's 2002, both grunge grunge and the soon to be dead new metal is going to die. But I guess if you remember, in and around maybe 2005 onwards, there's this um, group of bands that are being called emo core or emo, like My Chemical Romance and okay, I'm not good, or All
Okay,
American Rejects,
okay,
or
that was my era. So it was like Fall Out
uh,
Boy, Panic in Disco, and
yeah,
all.
Fall Out Boy or Paramore. So you see, at least guitar-oriented music still carried on uh, in local radios or on the local English airways up till a certain year. And after that, it's all hip hop and light EDM-ish kind of songs until now. So I guess not to say that I don't agree with you or what, but I guess people need to know in the context that we have all this back in the day and also bit during your time. So I guess that kind of like shaped it. Seriously, unless okay, I can understand where you're coming from about your family being from the police law enforcement background, right? They might want you to behave in a certain way and not listen to some music and all that. That's perfectly fine. But I think with regards to my family and some of those who I know, well, we're kind of like lucky if the objection to our music is purely based on the fact that they don't want our studies to be affected and not because of any other things.
I think mine was a little different because I think there was that fear that for my mom at least, I think the fear was that she didn't want me to go into becoming a musician because she thought it was not a feasible thing or it was just like a phase. I I know for a fact I'm not musically inclined. That's why I do things like content creation instead because at least I have talent in that. So I would not quit my day job anytime soon. But speaking of which, when we talk about bands and guitars, as I can see from the video, like you're cradling a guitar right now, and
Yes,
this
yes.
is your weapon of choice as of now. I still
Not exactly my favorite guitar, but I have a lot of I have many guitars at home, so sometimes it's like which is the one that is kind of like fit in my mood, fit into my mood at the moment. So currently is this one. It's not exactly in a tuning that I often use for Chugga Ritual, but yes, it's something that I'm always with. And actually, before we got on video, I was actually working on some riffs for new EP.
yeah, I saw that you released a single for Chugga Ritual as well. That
Mhm.
was pretty well done. It's a nice welcoming return for people who have been wondering whatever happened to Chugga Ritual after the brief hiatus. So for you to actually release a single and just get a little note saying that you're back, I think that's really awesome.
Actually, interestingly, you said that there was a hiatus. Actually, I've been wondering what actually or when actually was did the hiatus happen?
Actually, I wouldn't say hiatus. I would say more like inactivity. That's like a extended period of inactivity. And I think some people just thought
Okay,
that, oh, this probably means that Chugga Ritual is probably not doing
no
anything.
more. Okay, interesting that you mentioned this because why probably people would think that it was inactive was probably because back in 2017, early 2017, I announced my retirement from playing live. So that probably kind of like uh, make it seem that there's no more Chugga Ritual. But this is the thing that I think most people got it wrong with Chugga Ritual. It's not exactly a band, but in the context of things and for people to understand, I can probably say that, hey, it's a solo project. Okay, it's like Chugga Ritual is just me. Um, Maybe my fault is that it has a live band manifestation of the project. So that's why people thought that it's actually a band. But be, between the time that I announced my retirement um, from the live circuit and uh, the moment I actually released my my latest single, Chugga Ritual's latest single, I actually released one EP in 2018 called Belial or Belial or Belial, however you want to pronounce it. And then I also since I think last year I released one single, and earlier this year also before the release of Unseen Enemy, I also did release another single. So Chugga Ritual, there won't be a period of inactivity. In fact, I would say that because Chugga Ritual this year will be is already 12 years old. That's my longest ever project, beating even a Bengkama or Manifest. Okay, because those things only lasted like about 5 to 6 years. So Chugga Ritual has already doubled the lifespan of those real bands. Okay, and I can assure that it won't be there won't be a period of inactivity. In fact, I'll try to drop new singles every month or every 2 months. That's uh, that's how uh, that's how Chugga Ritual works.
Okay, that's actually that really debunks everything because you know how it works with like social media in this day and age, where maybe the root information is being presented, but sometimes people decipher it differently and the message just gets
Yes, the message just gets lost because it's the clickbait generation.
I
You read only the headlines. You don't read the actual article. Sometimes the headline is meant to be a misdirection because you want people to 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 read it. You see, you want to drive traffic to a certain thing. Well, I'm not an expert on all things social media marketing or trafficking and everything, but I know that much that it works that way. It's how trailers are made for movies even nowadays. Like you misdirect a thing, then you get all the people worked up, and then suddenly when the movie release, hey, it's a different thing. So yeah, but it's all good if people are still interested. Meaning that in an age of eternal brand creation, that means at least there is some kind of a branding for my little Chugga Ritual.
and it's your longest project by far. And this is something I didn't even know. I would say that again, I known you for well, through Chugga Ritual and also Omakawa, and you have just other bands that you mentioned earlier, which was it Manifest?
Yeah. And before Manifest, I was also in a band called Fractured Skull. So yes, the this is the little kid in me who doesn't want to grow up. Like a lot of people would say that, yeah, they like extreme music back when they were young, but as they grow older, they got married, they have kids. They had to be mature, they had to be responsible and act their age. Well, I guess I didn't act. I don't act my age then. I'm 46 and I'm still like a kid with regards to music because I get excited when I get to hear new music from the artists that I like. I get to get or I get to listen to new releases, or I get excited when I find a riff that can be used for a song. So all that's like the kid in me, eh? Like the Toys R Us commercial. I'm a Toys. I don't want to grow up. I'm a Toys R Us kid.
And I guess also vouch for the fact that you are very excitable when it comes to like playing guitar and playing music. And I think this is attested by your live streams. I watched one yesterday, and you were just having a ball, man. You were just having fun, and you were just having a bit of chat with your friends, and you're playing through songs that you like, and I think I can see where
Yeah,
that enthusiasm and excitement still lives on. I don't think that
and you don't think I'm what?
I don't think that just because you're all grown up, it does not mean that your passion has to die.
But some people, especially those who, they were into music. They were into music, and then suddenly, uh, you know, when they start to have a family, they start to get married. Um, they kind of like discard all that. I think a bit of me feels that that's kind of sad because I feel music has its purposes, and if there's no music in my life, if I don't do the things I've done for the last 30 years, I could probably be doing things that are worse than what music is perceived as bad. So I guess that interesting. You mentioned about I was having fun with the playthrough yesterday. Uh, in terms of playing, that's the worst playing that could probably come out from me. I mean, I showed the bad sides of me, meaning that I couldn't play a song without doing any mistakes. But that's a part of me that I kind of like have accepted that you know there will be guys who will be playing from start to finish a song and there's no mistake. It's perfect. But for me, I'll be doing something that okay, I'll just in my term I call it uh, anyhow sembarang kacang, like the sembarang kacang means like anyhow whack one.
So it's like you're
So
just reading it, the sort of thing, right?
yes, because there's too much seriousness, and it kind of like puts off people from wanting to pick up a guitar because the way I see it, and this is much worse than I think during my time. Because okay, let me share something actually. Like I think among Malay kids, there'll be lesser and lesser people picking up the guitar. I mean, if you look at the teenagers right now, they're probably not interested to be picking up a guitar. Maybe the girls would want to pick up a guitar because you look at the the rock guitar players of today. Um, there are some female luminaries like Nita Strauss and all that that could be a big influence to girls wanting to rock out. But sadly, I mean, I'm not being ethnic oriented or ethnic biased to certain things, but we all know we all know whoever that is into rock knows that Malay kids are more likely to be into rock guitar than any other kids. Okay, but this is slowly changing or actually very fastly changing because like if I can use an example, my second son is in the guitar ensemble of the school, and he's the only Malay kid there, and he's the only Malay kid to be interested, to be able to want to actually be in a guitar club or guitar ensemble. And even like my wife, who was a CCA teacher for a guitar ensemble for her school for a brief period of time, she couldn't get Malay boys to join.
Wow,
So
that's shocking, man.
that is shocking. That's really shocking. But that's going to happen. You know what's going to happen? You can see a lot less Malay band or Malay kids forming punk rock bands or metal bands or hardcore bands in the future. For example, like 5 years from now, there probably won't be any more uh, Malay youths who are involved in hard music, hard guitar music, because if you don't get them, if you don't get the 12-year-old, the 13-year-olds, the 14-year-olds of the now, you won't have people for the future who are going to be doing that kind of music. But maybe there will be a counter argument to what I say, and say people will say that I'm wrong because you can just easily pick up a skill by learning from the numerous tutorial videos of anything that's available on YouTube right now.
I would respectfully disagree because, as we all know, the generation of today, they have a very short attention span, and they get easily frustrated. And if they feel that they can't master something, they'll just move on to the next. And learning the guitar is not something that you can just pick it up after like 5 YouTube tutorials. You know, it's something that takes a lot of practice, it takes a lot of dedication, and from what I understand from my fellow musician friends, you know, it's a lot of science that goes behind it. You know,
Yes.
you don't just plug and play like a normal guitar powered
Yes.
app. You know, you have effects pedals. You need to think about delays, phases, editing skills, and a lot of musical technology that goes behind it. And
Since you talk about since earlier, sorry to interrupt. Since
no,
earlier you talk about the larger issue of stereotyping and discrimination.
yeah,
Let me share with you something. I think I would probably find more stereotyping, or I wouldn't say discrimination, but I would say stereotyping and being misunderstood among people who actually like rock music in general. For example, right? I don't think in Singapore there is an appreciation for riffers. I don't think there's a healthy appreciation for riffers. For example, if I were to do things like this, they would say that, well, anybody can do that. That's like, there's no skill in that, and that you're not exactly a guitar player because all you know how to do is they would expect you to be considered a guitarist to be able to. They expected you to have those things. They expected you to play the higher strings as compared to because to them things like chugging has no technique, has no science, has no art to it. I'm not talking about all guitar players or all people having this stereotype, but mostly those people who do not know how to play the guitar. You know, those who probably like influenced by, you know, what defines as a good guitar player would be somebody like Slash or Richie Blackmore or John Petrucci. Those who are able to play the solos kind of type. Those are guitar players. So people like me, I'm not exactly considered a legit guitar player, even though I've played the instrument for like more than 30 years. And I can actually theorize why I choose certain notes, why I play in a certain way, but sometimes it's like, it's not enough. It's never enough to be that. And that is sad, because if you look at other countries, even in Malaysia, there are actually a movement towards a greater appreciation for all things that are rhythm guitar and riff guitar things. Yeah, I mean, interestingly, if I can share, I ever got into a debate with one fella back in 2011 when I purposely put on my status post that the guitar player for this Brazilian crossover thrash band called Ratos de Porão. Okay, when I said that Mr. Zhao or whoever his name, okay, is better than Ingve J. Malmsteen. I got one mud rock guy who was like debating, like he's trying to convince that I'm wrong, trying to say that, hey, if you're a rhythm guitar player, if you're a second guitar player, you must also be able to play some leads. I said, whatever the hell for? I mean, seriously, I would rank a person like Kurt Cobain personally, and this is just down to personal taste, as higher than a person like, say, John Petrucci. I mean, the Petrucci fans would probably lynch me for saying this, but they have to look at it in the context of things, you see. I mean, for the limited skills that Kurt Cobain has, he was able to write songs that were big, songs that would actually um, was liked by a diverse cross section of the music listening society in many parts of the world. So that alone is a testament to how great the person is, and he's just using things that were limited, limited skills, limited notes, and yet he could create music. That's to me. That's how. That's if you want to know how different am I in thinking than most people who are the Shrek worshippers. I would say I have nothing against them. I do like a lot of Shrek music. Uh, I still like the early Ingve J. Malmsteen albums until now, even though I can't play what he played. But I still hold them in high regard because it was good music. Yeah, and I still listen to early Dream Theater. I just couldn't get into everything in Dream Theater, but there are things that I like.
Yeah, do I, man. I don't know, like, people tell me like Dream Theater is a really great band, are really like, technically proficient and everything, but to me, when I listen to Dream Theater, I don't know, like, it's just really not my cup of tea, man. Like, but if you ask me to listen to power metal, for example, like, if you ask me to listen to like, Halloween, I would definitely get into
Yeah,
that right away. But speaking of which, we're
yeah.
talking about high regard and worshipping and what and guitar playing. So, of course, there are comparisons between you and Max Cavalera from Sepultura, and I know for a fact that you look up to him like some sort of guru, man. So I know that you have met him before. You have met Igor as well, and this is my final question as to hear about your story behind loving Sepultura up till to the point where you met Max in person.
Okay. I'm Max fan more than I'm an Igor fan. Having said that, I would say that Igor is my favorite drummer, favorite rock metal drummer, and even for because he can do also punk rock and he can also actually do grindcore type blast beats, but he didn't show it to the world because there's no song yet that has an Igor blast beat. Probably the guy doesn't want to use that. But having said all that, I'm a bigger fan of Max than I was for Igor. See, um, and I got thanks to the social media, thanks to Facebook, I actually befriended his stepdaughter on the Facebook, and that's how I got connected to Max's manager and wife, Gloria. So I first got connected to his stepdaughter, Christina, and that got me my first radio interview with Max. And the second time I interviewed him was in person, in the flesh. That was when Soulfly was doing a show at Rockaway Festival in KL in 2012. Meeting Max is surreal in the sense that at that point of time, I was like, hey, the guy that I've been like following since 1991, I'm going to finally meet him in person. And I can't believe it, man, because, you know, and I think this is kind of like a bit of a cliche because a lot of people say that hey, I don't know if I wanted to meet my hero because I don't know if my hero would be something that is totally the opposite of what I expect and all that. But luckily for me, fortunately for me, I think everything all went well. I met Max at his at the hotel that he was staying, and I haven't shared this with a lot of people, at least not publicly. But when I got to the hotel, I called. I went to the reception and said that I want to go up and meet Max. And the hotel actually refused me. The receptionist refused me. So I got to, I said, can I call the room? And I called the room and I spoke to Gloria. And she would say, and what she said was, it's okay, you can come up. Max will fetch you. So Max, the big, the legendary metal icon that's known to the world, that actually helped put Brazil in the world heavy metal map, went down, okay, went down alone and picked me up, picked me and my friends up. And how humble can you be? How much more humble can you be? You know, he doesn't put on airs. Okay, there was a wedding band that played at the hotel.
Okay.
And even the wedding band guys know who he was, and he kind of like obliged them by taking photos with them. And the first thing that when he came out on the lift, he saw me and he gave me a hug. So, so that was like, wow. And not to say bad things about some of the more local and regional artists that I've met, but some of them behave in a more rock star manner than Max. Max is Max is one, relaxed guy who see us as fellow human beings and not like his fans and everything. So that was it. We went up the lift and went to his room, and I did the interview. And Max is kind of like a guy who has a very he has a sense of humor too. And when I let him sign my guitar, my guitar ironically was actually his one of his signature guitars. So when I let him sign, okay, because my guitar was different from the original incarnation of that particular signature model of his, because I had it spray painted with I had the shop in Indonesia spray painted it with camo colors, camo green colors. But my mistake is, instead of like putting it matte, I had it gloss finished. And my wife called it the aga-aga guitar. And I told Max that, and he said, "You don't want the guitar? I'll gladly take it." I was like, "No, I want the guitar, man." So he signed the guitar and all. And he was asking me, "Hey, how come no show in Singapore?" So 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 that's the kind of um, person that I think, unless you get a chance to meet Max Cavalera in person, you never get to see this side of him. There's a lot of shit talkers on the internet. If I see, like on Blabbermouth, under the comments and all that, people making fun of him, people making fun that he's no longer his physique back when he was in his 20s and all that. But I guess they're just haters, and haters will hate. As cliche as that statement is, haters will hate. And for me, I was a lucky guy to have met my hero, my inspiration, and I would say my guru with riff writing. Although he's not exactly in reality a person who teaches me how to write riff, because I think uh, he wouldn't even want to teach people anything, because I think that wouldn't be punk rock. That would not exactly fit into his um, philosophy and things. But all in all, I feel very lucky to have met the person, to have met Max Cavalera, and I guess if you, I don't want to put anything that is not real or cliche sounding, but I guess seriously, if you really are into a person's art and you really admire the person's works all over the years, maybe for some strange reason or for some strange unseen machinations, uh, you get to meet the person that you like. Be it the person can be the actor that you like, or the sports person that you like, or anything. You probably get to meet the person.
I mean, that's a fitting story cap up the show, and it's really awesome that you were able to meet Max. And you know, this is the thing. Like at some point, you know, you want to meet your heroes, and you want to know how they are like in person. And for you being able to meet Max and also Igor, I believe, because we met him when
Yes. We both met Igor in 2010 at the Esplanade. Yeah.
for baby.
It would be awesome if I can meet both of them again, like at one go. But I kind of like count my blessings, and I know that if I can, uh, I've already been given the opportunity to actually meet them.
And I think that's really going on as it is, you know, like when you finally had a brush with greatness, you are able to live to tell a tale, and I think that is one of those stories that can never be um, better by anyone else because this is your personal experience, and to see your hero, someone that you grew up listening to, it means a great deal. And you know, to before we end everything, I also like to thank you for also being my hero over the years as well. I mean, if it wasn't
Oh,
for
that's an honor to hear that, man.
no worries, man. I
I'm
mean,
humble and I'm honored to hear that.
I can safely say that when I first met you for the first time, it was also quite a bundle of nerves because can you imagine like you listen to this guy on the radio and now you're seeing the Flash performing on stage. And it's just a small local show, you know, and I think it was you who curated it. And I was just there at the front row, like just looking at you, I'm like, wow, this is so I cannot believe this is happening. And I'll be honest with you, man, it took me a lot of courage just going up to you and just having a normal conversation, just saying that, oh, you know, oh, you did a really awesome job and I like your music and such. And honestly, 10 years on, or even this is me like a 17-year-old telling you that I still find your music amazing and I'm looking forward to your projects in the long run. Be it Chugga Ritual, be it your live streams, or anything that you put your mind to it. And
Thank you.
and before we end, is there anything that you would like to promote or you like to plug as well?
Yeah, I just like to say thank you to anyone who is watching, and I like to say that give support to whatever that you do, or you have been doing, and go check out the Chugga Ritual Bandcamp page. All of the Chugga Ritual songs from 2008 all the way to the current release are all there. So check them out. If you people want to buy it, you can buy. If you don't intend to buy, just give it a listen. Uh, if you like your metal to be experimental and to be hybrid and to have all other fun elements that are not exactly metal, then you should give Chugga Ritual this little project from Singapore chance for your ears to listen. That's all.
I concur with you on that one. So once again, thank you so much and
Thank you, Bruce.
and have
Thank you.
a great celebration for Hari Raya as well because it's day 2. So have a good one, buddy.
Yeah.
See ya.
You too. See you.